Imagine a peaceful Sunday morning. You wake up, stretch your limbs, and open your windows to a beautiful sunny day. But wait a minute. A busy street that's normally full of people is totally empty. Where is everyone? Looks like you're the only human left on the planet. So what are you gonna do? Well, I guess the answer is anything you want. If the world is your oyster, then this one is solely yours. Every crazy idea, insane dream, or whatever else you've got in mind. Hop into the fastest sports car and take a ride on the highway? Yes, no traffic. Play golf from the roof of a skyscraper? Why not? Who's gonna say anything about you busting some windows with your golf ball? Have you always wanted to live in a mansion? Well, now you can. You've got a whole world of opportunities and nothing to stop you from enjoying each and every one of them. Yes! After all that fun and utter joy is out of your system, you start asking yourself, what's next? Well, maybe it's time to try and figure out what really happened and why everyone just disappeared. You can try to find someone else. What if you're not completely alone? You might search the city for others, but in this scenario, you can search the whole world and not find a single soul. Yeah, sounds a little scary, I know. So now it's time to turn to more serious issues, like how you're gonna survive in this empty kingdom of yours. The first thing you need to figure out is food and drinking water. Sure, you'll have as much as you need for a while, but some products will start to spoil pretty quickly, like fruits and veggies. Eat those first. After all, there's nobody controlling the power stations that keep the refrigerators in the grocery stores running, so they'll shut off sooner or later. Okay, so what about water? In the beginning, try to find every single bottle in all the nearby stores and bring them back to your place. The bad news is that all this clean bottled water is gonna run out eventually, so you'll have to figure out how to filter water on your own down the road. After you spend a couple of days, weeks, or heck, even months enjoying all these perishable foods, it's time to think about your future long-term supplies. With no electricity to keep the fridges and freezers going, rice, beans, and canned foods are going to be your best friends. After a while, you'll probably need to learn how to grow food yourself, so don't wait until you run out of stocks before you start beefing up your farming skills. Medical supplies are also super important. You need to hit up as many pharmacies as you can for future supplies in case of an emergency. And you might want to be more careful since there won't be any doctors to help you for serious injuries. So yeah, maybe skip on the parkour in this new world of yours. Farming and DIY water filtration aren't the only things you need to learn. You see, right now, you depend on a lot of people without even realizing it. But in a world where you're the last human on Earth, you'll need to learn crucial survival skills like hunting, first aid, cooking, and so on. You'd have to teach yourself so many things. Do you ever get the feeling that you can't find some time for reading and self-education? Well, now you've got plenty of it and entire libraries and bookstores full of knowledge. Yeah, there won't be any internet in this world, so you gotta go back to how your grandpappy did it. It'll be really hard at first, but you'll eventually become the ultimate survival expert. Another important thing for you is communication. You might consider yourself an introvert right now, but human beings are naturally social creatures. But what can you do if there's no one around to talk to? Maybe it's time to get yourself a dog, or several. Hey, what about having your own personal zoo? Don't forget that you rule this planet, so it's up to you. Before you run to the zoo and open up all the cages, just keep in mind that all these wild animals might see you as a long-awaited meal instead of a conversation partner. Maybe just stick with a dog or a cat to deal with the loneliness, or a parrot. At least it'd answer you back. The next step will be your future shelter. Don't get me wrong, hanging out in some cool mansion or palace is absolutely fine. You can do it for several years if you want. Or you can go to different luxury hotels and live like royalty there. You could even have a new home for every new day. But the whole living your luxury fantasy will get kind of old after a while. Plus, in a decade or so, all these buildings will become quite unsafe without regular maintenance to keep them up. Perhaps you'll move away from the city. The good news is you can go anywhere you want. There are no borders, migration laws, passports, or anything stopping you. Oh, but just remember, in order to go somewhere, you need to find sources of fuel. All these abandoned vehicles will be useless in the next several years because their fuel will go stale. So you'll probably have to pick a place to settle down for good. I don't know about you, but I'd go somewhere with a moderate climate. Tornadoes, earthquakes, hurricanes, and blizzards are the last thing I want to worry about while trying to survive on my own. Speaking of the weather, clothes are totally something you should think about and plan for. Of course, at first you can go to all the stores and try on funny and weird outfits, or super fancy ones, but you might want to focus on practicality after a while. Make sure you have garments for every season and plenty of warm clothes and blankets. Even if you decide to settle down somewhere where it's always warm, you never know when it might get chilly. Well, I guess all this talk of surviving as the only human left on Earth can be pretty frustrating and depressing. But let's look on the bright side. Just imagine all the ways you can entertain yourself. Gathering knowledge and skills doesn't just have to be about survival. You can learn to paint, make pottery, try your hand at sculpture, or even write your own story. What would you call it? The Last Human on Earth. In a world of my own. Sounds pretty cool, right? Plus, you might want to practice your language skills, especially if your only conversation partner is a parrot that just repeats everything you say and asks for crackers all the time. What would you do if there were no humans left on the planet except you? Let me know down in the comments. Don't forget to give this video a like, share it